Hello there, I'm Cambridge Rory, or Cambridge English Teacher Rory, from studentlanguages.com, and in today's video I'm going to be critiquing an FCE, that's B2 First, essay. First we will have a look at the question, then I will make some corrections on the answer to the question that I'm marking, then I will give it comments and a mark based on the examiner's assessment scale. So let's get started. Here is the essay question. If online shopping continues to grow in popularity, shops in our town centres will close because fewer people will use them. Do you agree? It says write about the kind of shops that are most at risk, any evidence that town centres are already facing problems, and your own idea. Here's the original answer. I'm going to make corrections on this one. So, it says, in my opinion, a growing number of online shops plays a significant role in choosing how to buy goods. It has led to purchasing things online and closing offline shops. Okay. Firstly, I can see that the length of this essay is good length. I think it's within the 140 to 190 word limit. What I would do is I would actually I would try to find a better word for things. And add that to the language down at the bottom. Better word would be, for example, goods. We can talk about buying goods. Things is too informal for an essay. So as I said, goods would be a better alternative. Okay. Nowadays, people order online almost everything. Yeah, we need to change the word order here. So people order almost everything online. I would put at the end here. It tells us with this correction here. Anyway. Google correction, but it's not always correct, so that's it. This time it agrees with me. Yeah, it's good to be able to double check, so sometimes these things make mistakes. Same with AI. I use ChatGPT, for example, for a lot of things nowadays, but I do notice that it makes mistakes, so we can't trust it 100%. Nowadays, people order almost everything online, from small things like stationery, good, to bigger ones like white goods, or even something bigger. Okay, good language. Things like white goods. There you go. There you've used the word goods. Yeah. Bigger ones used not to repeat the word things. Again, it would be good to try and change the word things to something else, but it's good to use the pronoun so that we don't repeat the words over and over, and to use the variety of words. Like here, white goods is also a less common phrase, so it's good language shown. I'll add it here. There is evidence of less common words and phrases used throughout the essay. For example, white goods. I predict that shops that are most at risk are ones that sell something small. Yeah, I think it's going to tell us to remove. Yeah, well, so you can't use that in an indefinite relative clause. Might be worth having it's complicated for me to explain this whole grammar subject right now, but it would be worth revising definite and non-definite relative clauses. It's good to see attempt at using this because it's not so easy. So attempt has been made to use some more complex grammatical structures, including relative clauses. Which is good. This is good despite some mistakes. It's good to see, it's good to try and do that. Even if you make a mistake, it's good. The examiners like to see that you're trying more complicated things sometimes. So you could switch the word to which, or you could just remove the commas. Yeah, in fact, you should remove the commas, and then you can keep the word that. The thing, because this information in between the commas, which are most at risk, is necessary. If you were to remove these words here, and the sentence was, I predict that shops are ones that sell something small, doesn't make sense. So that means that this information is necessary, which means that it's a definite relative clause. And you don't put commas. The commas are only when the information inside them is unnecessary. So I predict that shops which are most at risk are ones that sell something small, something that people can buy without thinking. And they can do it laying in their beds. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to check the question again. Kind of shops which are most at risk? Perfect. So that's been answered there in that first main paragraph. I'll say that in the content. So the number of words is good. It's a good number of words. Which makes me, as an examiner, for example, think that the content will be relevant. And I can see that the first main paragraph, after the introduction, that is, addresses the first note of the question. Good. It is easy to see visiting a few online shops. It is easy to... Yeah, I don't know why you have see and visiting. Maybe just it's easy to see a few online shops or to visit a few online shops. You have to choose see or visit depending on the sentence. Let's go with visit. Why not? I don't understand exactly what this means, this sentence. So some of them do not have a physical address because they do not want to spend money on renting a place. Okay. Maybe you mean it is not easy to see on. I don't understand this sentence. It just doesn't help with the communicative achievement. So there are times where the writer's idea is not clearly expressed. For example, in the first sentence of the second main paragraph. They prefer keeping prices affordable for most people. Okay, that's a fair point. Doesn't address the second one, but maybe that could be your own idea. That online shops are trying to keep things affordable and not renting places. So it's not actually addressing the question necessarily. So town centres will close. I mean, I suppose it's indirectly saying that online shops, like that real physical shops, will move online because to save money, basically to save money. But then maybe you should say that's not because fewer people will use them. That's not necessarily being addressed in this paragraph. Unless that's what you're trying to address here. So I think you're trying to make a point here that it could be improved, this paragraph, to make it clearer and more obvious. Then also with growing popularity of social media, yeah, I would agree with this and say with the growing popularity of social media, it is easier to find a lot of new buyers. Okay, yeah. Some things do not even need a place for storing. Yeah. Need to change this a little bit. Some things do not even need a place to be stored, or do not even need a storage place, is probably the most simple way to say it. Before they're sold, so also to make it clearer. And again, we could try and find another word for things. So social media, but I'm wondering about any evidence that town centres are already facing problems. I think that second idea could be addressed more clearly in one of these two paragraphs. I feel like it's not addressed well enough, so the second note, from the question could be addressed more clearly. The arguments for the writer's own idea could also be expressed better. So unfortunately that's started off well, but I'm going to have to knock it down to not quite good enough there with a 2, I think, for content. In conclusion, one day offline shopping will disappear and people will be able to buy anything. Don't need to repeat anything they want. In conclusion, one day offline shopping will disappear and people will be able to buy anything they want, spending time wherever they want. Yeah. Okay. I think it's going to tell you to put a comma here. Yeah. Yeah, okay, it's a fine conclusion. But I feel like there could be a better flow to this. The overall flow of the writing could be improved. It will largely be improved by simply more clearly answering the second and own idea from the question. Second note, let's say, to make it obvious. That will help a lot with the communicative achievement. I can see where you're trying to go with it, and I can see that the conclusion is trying to back up the offline shops will disappear. I think the overall thing could be tied together a bit better, and that's why I'm going to give that a 2, not quite a 3. In terms of organisation, it's nicely separated paragraphs, which is good. You've tried to use things like relative pronouns, relative clauses to link your ideas together and build paragraphs better, especially this first paragraph. This is a good one. The others are a little bit sort of separated here. There's probably ways you could tie them together better. Some linking words like also and in conclusion, which help. So I'm going to give that organisation a 3, I think, and say that on a wide level, the essay is structured clearly. There is also evidence of linking words and phrases throughout, as well as some more complex complex words and phrases and structures used to build paragraphs, particularly the first paragraph, the first main paragraph. The others, I think, could be improved. Maybe I'm being a little bit generous with the 3, but yeah, that's what I'm going to leave it as. And in terms of language, so there's evidence of less common words and phrases used throughout the essay. For example, white goods. So it's been made at some more complex grammatical structures. For example, relative clauses. This is good despite some mistakes. There are times where the words and phrases are too informal for an essay. For example, things could be replaced with goods, although you have actually used goods at other times in the essay. So, but just try and think of different ways to add more variety. There's not loads of mistakes, so I think the language is good enough. I'm going to give that a 3 as well. And what that will mean is that this essay has received a 2, 2, and a 3, and a 3, which is 10 out of 20. You need 24 out of 40, so you'd need 14 out of 20 in the part 2 writing to pass. Okay, so I hope this video was useful, and thank you for watching. I've been Cambridge Rory, or Cambridge English Teacher Rory, from studentlanguages.com. Bye-bye.